Well, welcome everyone. I'm Bob Bernhardt. I'm the Vice President for Research at Notre Dame and also a Professor of Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering, and I'm your host for today. We're very pleased you're here. It's been a great day, except for we got a little bit of moisture in the air. So everything else is going really well. I want to welcome you, first of all, to Hypersonics Day at Notre Dame. We put together a string of events, which I think many of you apparently responded well to because our SVPs were way beyond our expectation. This morning, many of you participated in the workshop on workforce development and hypersonics, which of course is a critical need for that technology to develop. Many of you have just come over from visiting the Whitefield experimental facilities where you saw our terrific wind tunnel capabilities. At this event, we're going to celebrate the opening of two new facilities. One is a high-Mach combustion facility, and the other is the ramjet test facility. They're both over here, and you'll get a chance to see those in the tour this afternoon. Following this celebration, we'll have lunch, and then following the lunch, we'll offer tours of the Turbomachinery lab, which is right behind us, as well as the two new test facilities. For a select group of Indiana-based representatives from Crane and Purdue, IEDC, and a couple of other groups, we're going to have at 2:30 this afternoon, we'll have a discussion about the statewide strategy for hypersonics. And those of you who have been invited, it's invitation only, but those of you who have been invited will assemble probably right over here with the Hermeus airplane model. So that's our plan for today. This ceremony is going to be a little bit logistically challenged because Senator Young has a bed check tonight as the new legislative session starts in Washington. And so we've only got him for a little time. So I'm going to be brief here and turn it over to Father John, who will make who will offer a invocation and introduce Senator Young. Father John is our 17th president. He has served as our president since 2005. As president, he has committed to combining the university's dedication to excellence in undergraduate education in the classroom and beyond, while simultaneously building a reputation as a preeminent research institution. All of this in the context of Notre Dame's Catholic identity. So, Father John.
Bob, thank you so much, and thanks everyone for being here to celebrate with us this important milestone. It is a milestone for us, and we're happy to share it with you. We're committed at Notre Dame to do research that serves the nation, the region, and the world, and we're proud to gather representatives here from the region, from the state, from the nation here with us. You know, we don't need to tell you the security challenges facing our nation are daunting and unprecedented, and the race for innovation and critical technologies like hypersonics is an enduring and serious challenge for us. Researchers and scholars at Notre Dame are eager to contribute to vital research and testing efforts that advance and safeguard our country, its people, and serve the cause of justice and liberty. The continued investment in critical national capabilities like two new facilities we are dedicating today represent our continued commitment to invest in cutting-edge technologies and infrastructures that are urgently needed. And we're glad to gather these partners, all of you here, because we achieve so much more when we include the triad of academia, private industry, and government when they come together. So, as we begin this dedication, let us, as we do at Notre Dame, start us off with a prayer. Lord, we ask your blessing on the research and work that will go on in these facilities. May it elevate humanity, enhance justice and liberty, and serve human dignity. Bless the government and business and academic leaders here with us, that they may always serve these ideals, and may all of us who work here all those who work here find satisfaction in their work. And may the work of these facilities serve the common good for our community, our nation, and our world. We pray this in your name. Amen. Well, it's now my great honor to have introduce a very special guest with us, U.S. Senator Todd Young. Senator Young was first elected to Congress in 2010. He is a fifth-generation Hoosier, a graduate of the University. Let's have an applause for that. A graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy and a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. In Congress, Senator Young has been a leading voice on national security issues, as well as a tireless advocate and champion for strengthening our nation's research innovation ecosystem. His leadership on the Senate's Endless Frontier Act and the U.S. Innovation and Competitiveness Act has combined these two passions, ensuring the continued strength and vitality of our nation. And I personally want to thank him for his leadership on those important issues. He has been a critical leader in the Senate. Senator Young and his staff have been instrumental as partners in supporting our state's robust hypersonics research, development, and testing efforts. I can't think of a more appropriate leader to address us at this dedication. So I want to thank you for joining us and introduce Senator Todd Young.
Well, thank you all, and thank you, Father John, for that prayer, for that generous introduction. I am so proud to have this world-class university located here in the state of Indiana, proud to represent all of you, and proud to have an opportunity to just briefly address you before I have to skip out and then ensure that you're all enfranchised and voting in Washington, D.C. But the term hypersonics might be new to many Americans, but it is the future of our nation's security. Russia has tested hypersonic weapons, and now they've used them in Ukraine. China has also tested hypersonic weapons. The United States, which has tested these systems, must keep pace. So today we cut the ribbon on two facilities where the propulsion systems of the future will be researched, developed, and tested right here in the great state of Indiana. Indiana has had hypersonics on our radar for a number of years now, and we've seen incredible collaboration to help position our state as a leader in this technology. The Indiana Economic Development Corporation, Crane, Notre Dame, Purdue, Indiana University, and other key partners have come together to create a hypersonics corridor. And I gather you're going to be learning a lot more about that later. This collaboration of industry, government, and academia will advance these technologies and create economic opportunities for Hoosiers in coming years. I introduced the U.S. Innovation and Competition Act, what we've come to call USICA, for this very reason, so we can come together to out-innovate and out-compete the Chinese Communist Party. When USICA passes later this year, it will be a landmark investment in America's military and the workers who supply them with the technology they need to win on the battlefield. And I hope that in the months ahead, and I fervently believe, we'll see even more investments like the one we celebrate today. As a U.S. Senator with access to classified intelligence in an increasingly volatile global environment, I occasionally get asked, what keeps me up at night? My answer is, I actually sleep pretty well. I sleep well knowing that we have the most sophisticated and powerful military in the history of the world. I sleep even better knowing that it's Indiana's own academics, researchers, and workers who are at the leading edge of these next generation technologies. So thank you very much for all of you researchers, leaders, doers, and dreamers who are helping us take these technologies to the next level. And thanks for the opportunity to represent all of you. God bless.
So thank you very much, Senator Young. We purposely didn't put the following item in Father John's introduction because I wanted to say it. Senator Young was just recently named by the Science Coalition as a champion of science. And I can't think of a more worthy recipient of that award. We at Notre Dame really appreciate his many interactions that we've had with him, and particularly think that the USICA Act, which you mentioned, is transformative to science. So thank you, sir. Now, some of you may have come a little early, and you noticed we did a fake ribbon cutting a little earlier with Senator Young because we knew he was going to have to leave. So what are we cutting the ribbon for? I'm going to introduce Josh Cameron, the director of Notre Dame Turbomachinery Lab, to tell you a little bit about that. Dr. Cameron joined the University of Notre Dame in 2008 as an assistant research professor in the Department of Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering. He was appointed director of the Notre Dame Turbomachinery Lab in 2014 when it was nothing but a bare building site. In his role as director of it in the Notre Dame Turbomachinery Lab, he has been instrumental in the development of the Ignition Park test facilities and growing its staff and its programs for high energy and high complexity testing in the mid-technology readiness level range for those of you familiar with that technology from the Department of Defense. Josh?
Thank you, Bob, and thank you all for being here. We're always really excited when we get to show off the amazing facilities that we have here and brag about the work that we do at NDTL. So Bob mentioned this just a little bit, but Notre Dame Turbomachinery Laboratory is a research and development organization focused on the execution of high power and high complexity tests. This is also supported by leading edge computational and analytical capabilities. So it's a big staff and a lot of infrastructure that's focused on these sorts of very challenging tests that are critical for aerospace and hypersonic development. The world-class infrastructure that you guys are going to get to tour in the next hour or so was established from an investment by the university and state and local government partners in 2016. Just as important as the investment in the facility has been the investment in our staff over the past 6 years. As many have learned, it is much easier to build a high technology facility than it is to develop and maintain a team of capable individuals that are able to do the sorts of high energy, high complexity research and development that we do here. The partnerships, the infrastructure that we put into place 6 years ago and the experienced team that built it have allowed us to take on the challenge of partnering with FGC Plasma and Hermeus to support their R&D programs. Those partnerships have resulted in the development of these two new test cells that we're celebrating today. So the first one you see here, this is FGC Plasma's test cell, and the other one is just behind. You'll get to see it in detail on the tour. That's Hermeus's. Both of these facilities enable continuous high-speed, high-temperature flow that's required for testing air-breathing hypersonic propulsion systems. And both of these facilities do that at a cost that's significantly lower than required for flight tests or altitude tests. And they've also both progressed from conception to completion in less than a year. And in fact, it was only about 2 weeks ago that we ran our first high-Mach combustion experiments in this facility right here. And as soon as we get these tents out of here, we're going to start running the ramjet test facility. I would like to thank Felipe and AJ, both of you, for your confidence in choosing NDTL as a partner. It's been a real pleasure working with your teams, and I'm excited to see what we can accomplish together. Thank you guys for being here. So these test cells, this new infrastructure, are not the last step in NDTL's growth. We have a continuing strategy to develop and expand our capabilities. And one part of that strategy is to expand the envelope of the high-Mach combustion cell so it can serve higher Mach numbers, and to relocate it into an internal space so that we can support secret-level classified programs. And we're ready to execute that plan as soon as funding support becomes available for it. Our strategic focus also includes a significant educational component. As is typical of most university research laboratories, we have many graduate students working towards advanced degrees here. Less typically, we also have a continuous stream of undergraduate interns, many of whom are assisting us today with this event. You'll see them maybe greeting you at the door and talking about the test facilities and walking you through. These students get direct access to an incredibly unique experiential learning environment where they work alongside our staff and the staff of our research partners on projects with direct applicability to new programs. And it's an education unlike any I've seen. It's playing engineer every day, right, when you come to your internship. And we're also exploring how we might extend this experiential learning program to early career engineers to help address the significant challenges facing our nation in critical technology areas such as hypersonics. So, although today's focus is on these two partner programs, we actually perceive both of these test cells as important national resources. And we're positioning NDTL to play a key role in future high-Mach air-breathing propulsion development. And an important first step in this direction is a recent UCAW Grand Challenge Award, together with our partners FGC Plasma, Lockheed Martin, Aerojet Rocketdyne, and the University of Illinois. Our researchers will be pushing the boundaries of the operating envelope of scramjets. In closing, I would like to thank the many individuals that made these important facilities possible. Once again, I'm humbled and amazed by the hard work and ingenuity of the NDTL team. You guys are incredible, and you've worked so hard for everything you see today. I'd also like to thank Ideal Consolidated, Kuntz Wagner, Zilikowski, and the many other contractors that have partnered with us to make this possible. It takes many hands and minds working together to provide critical aerospace test infrastructure such as this. Thank you all for partnering with us to bring about the future of high-Mach air-breathing propulsion.
Thank you very much, Josh. And I'm glad that Josh mentioned some of the support that we've got. As you tour the facility this afternoon, you'll see how incredible it is that these facilities are first class and very professionally done. And our support systems are really, really first class here. Next, I'd like to introduce a representative of the Indiana government. The governor was aware of what we were doing and at first thought he might be able to attend today, but had a conflict. And so he asked if he could be represented today by Tony Denhart. Tony became the Executive Vice President for Talent and Workforce for the Indiana Economic Development Corporation in January of 2022. In this role, Tony reports to the Secretary of Commerce and helps connect Hoosier businesses to universities, government agencies, and resources, as well as community and education leaders. Tony began his career in 1989, and I knew him from a previous life where he served as the GE Company Strategy and Implementation leader for university relations and campus recruitment initiatives. Tony?
Thank you, Bob and Josh. It was 6+ years that we met, and I just want to thank you and your team for everything that you've done and you will do to move this university, the state, and country forward. So thank you. On behalf of Governor Holcomb and Secretary Chambers, I'm honored to join you all today. Indiana is strategically involved in hypersonic research and development, and our advantage is key in achieving rapid innovation and transition to operational use. In 2018, Notre Dame completed the largest Mach 6 quiet hypersonic test facility in the U.S. And then in 2020, Notre Dame established the Hypersonic Systems Initiative. Notre Dame and Purdue both have a vast resource team of hypersonic research experts that bring depth and breadth of experience in basic and applied research for feasibility determination and design of strong next-generation hypersonic systems. Crane is helping to develop and improve technologies and capabilities in hypersonics by utilizing NSWC Crane strategic assets and growing network of government, industry, and academic partners. Needless to say, the state of Indiana is well positioned in hypersonics. Hoosier businesses are well aligned with the priorities of the Department of Defense, National Science Foundation, and other federal agencies, as you can see in the numbers from the last year. In 2021, the IDC had a record-breaking year. Nearly 300 companies committed to locate and expand in Indiana. They invested more than $8.7 billion in their operations, a 56% increase over 2020, and with an increasing average wage of $28.49 per hour. This marks the highest capital investment and annual record for average wages since the inception of the IDC in 2005. All this success would not have been achieved without the help of our great partnerships and collaborations from people in this room. So our success is your success. Now to the space that's near and dear to my heart. As Bob introduced me, my focus is on workforce and development. As I look straight back, one of our key partners at the university, Ryan and DJ, was in the Career Center. Couldn't do it without you. But I have the privilege to partner with folks like Ryan and state agencies throughout the state of Indiana to move this forward. And really, it's to ensure that we have the workforce of today, tomorrow, and 20 years from now. Earlier today, I participated in the workshop on hypersonics workforce development. Wow, I was struck by all the resources that exist in the state and beyond that will help in meeting the emerging need that's out there today. These resources start with STEM. This morning, by second grade, if those students, those boys and girls, haven't been made aware of those opportunities in hypersonics, we potentially have lost them. So, this morning, I think we have of the 60 people that were in the session this morning, that means we have to find 10,000 people to fill the needs of tomorrow. So all of you can help us do that. So elementary to like Ivy Tech, our technical workforce programs there, and advanced research programs with our higher ed institutions across the state. In closing, on behalf of the state of Indiana, congratulations to the University of Notre Dame. Please know we view your success as a benefit to all Hoosiers, and we value the partnership. I hope you are all ready for the powerhouse of the Indiana Hypersonics Corridor. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony. And I want to echo the partnership opportunities that we have with IEDC, Purdue, and Crane. It's a great opportunity for all of us. I think we're all stronger together, and you'll be hearing more about the corridor as time goes on. It's my pleasure next to introduce Jeff Wilson. He's currently the Hypersonic Test Lead Program Manager for Test and Evaluation in the Science and Technology Program for the Test Resource Management Center, TRMC. If you haven't heard of TRMC before, it is located in the office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering in the Department of Defense. It has responsibilities to look across the entire test and evaluation infrastructure to align test and evaluation efforts within the DoD modernization goals and to ensure that the Rangers are ready to test new capabilities as they emerge. Prior to his tenure at TRMC, Mr. Wilson worked for Lockheed Martin and General Informatics. Mr. Wilson.
All right, good afternoon. I, for one, welcome a nice, cool, rainy day from the swamp of DC. So having to wear a suit and not get on the metro is a nice change of pace. So thank you for the introduction. Thank you to the University of Notre Dame for inviting myself as a representative of TRMC and Arnie, the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering in the Department of Defense. Like I said, my name is Jeff Wilson. The TRMC's mission is simple. We are responsible for the readiness of the department's test infrastructure to develop new weapon systems. So my job as the hypersonics test lead for TRMC and the hypersonics test lead for Mr. Mike White, who's the principal director of hypersonics research and engineering, is to ensure that we have adequate ranges and facilities for DoD's hypersonic systems as they start to be fielded and recognized. So, the reality is the U.S. has spent decades maturing hypersonics as a technology, but in the last 5 to 7 years, the department has made a very concerted effort to make them a warfighting capability. So hypersonic systems are real for the DoD, and so that means my job has gotten a lot more fast-paced, pun intended, for hypersonics test infrastructure, because we really have to make sure that we have these really large production scale test capabilities for these hypersonic systems as they're being developed. And that really aligns well with R&E's mission within the department to make sure that our warfighters have future warfighting technology and capability as we enter into this era of competition with some of our near-peer competitors. So, I think it's been an exciting role. It's been an exciting position. I really liken it to perhaps if we were to rewind time back 60 or 70 years as we got into the race to develop and field jet engines. I really am encouraged to come out to Indiana and University of Notre Dame anytime we're doing a ribbon cutting on a new cutting-edge hypersonic ground test facility. I think it's great for the nation, and I look forward to being invited to do so at other locations across the country. I think the department is making significant investments in hypersonic ground and flight test infrastructure, but particularly building hypersonic wind tunnels and blown-out facilities is very hard. It takes a lot of power, energy, cooling capability, vacuum capability, and so it's not a trivial thing to be standing next to a brand new propulsion facility. And so I again thank you for inviting me, and I look forward to actually touring and discussing some of our needs in the department with a lot of the individuals here. Again, I do want to make sure that I try and very clearly communicate what the department prioritizes when it comes to hypersonic ground tests. So obviously the ability to develop simply put, we want to be able to fly the mission on the ground. And so if we could create as close to as possible as flight conditions in our aerodynamic facilities, our propulsion facilities, and be able to ensure that we can understand the precise control and maneuverability of hypersonic vehicles on the ground before we actually take them out to big, expensive flight tests is critical. And so the TRMC, obviously, we work very closely with the services and their ranges and test infrastructures, but we also track national capability in industry, academia, and a lot of our service S&T laboratories. So very interested in getting more information about what we're doing here. And obviously, if you see me, I'll be around the rest of the day. Happy to talk about what we're doing within the department and what some of our future needs are. I also attended the workforce development workshop this morning and thought that was a very productive dialogue on what we need to do to make sure that we've got the next round of talent, engineers and technicians that are able to run and operate facilities like this as we go forward. And those challenges that were discussed, we partner closely with the Joint Hypersonics Technology Office within R&E because we share all of the same challenges that were brought up, certainly on the T&EA side as well. So again, thank you for inviting me out. Thank you to the University of Notre Dame, and I look forward to seeing the new facility and the networking session just after. So thank you.
Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Knox Millsaps. He's the director of the Division of Aerospace Sciences Research at the Air Warfare and Weapons Department at the Office of Naval Research, ONR. As many of you may know, the University of Notre Dame and the Navy have a very close relationship, and it's our pleasure always to have the Navy here. Admiral Selby visited us last fall on a football Friday, and I understand that it was his first trip outside of Washington, D.C. after the pandemic. Unfortunately, I didn't know it at the time, but I was positive. COVID, fortunately, the Admiral didn't get it from me. At the ONR, Dr. Millsaps oversees research development in many areas of aerodynamics and hypersonics, as well as the development of computational experimental tools for future engineering design efforts. He is very familiar with Notre Dame, and we are very familiar with him. He visits us regularly. He's a former professor and chair at the Darden Chair at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. where he did his own research on turbomachinery, aerodynamics, and other related areas. Dr. Millsap.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate the invitation to be here. I'm kind of representing three entities, the Office of Naval Research, Admiral Selby, myself as department head for air warfare and weapons, and also my program officers. A couple of them couldn't be here. Admiral Selby was here last fall, didn't get to stay for the football game, so he's looking forward to coming back for that and to also see the facilities. As you said, the Navy and Notre Dame have a very long relationship. You have they got quite a good tie-in. The Navy ROTC is one of the biggest preeminent Navy ROTCs in the country. Our former boss, Admiral Winter, was a graduate here, and so certainly a lot of tie-ins. Two of my program officers work in the area of hypersonics. Eric Marino, who's been here several times, so he knows it very well, but also Eric Muccina, who does my hypersonics materials. Certainly good to get them back here at the time, and also Steve Martins, who does my power and propulsion stuff. Been out here quite a few times. As for myself, my department does naval air platforms, so we do fixed wing and rotary wing. We do weapons, so that's really where our hypersonics falls in, both hypersonic strike weapons as well as hypersonic defense. So we're not the only ones developing these capabilities, so both strike and defense are very important. And we also do directed energy. We've done a lot of work with Notre Dame in aero optics over the years, so we work very closely with the aero department here in aerodynamics, flow control, and propulsion. Scott Morris's lab, probably the preeminent turbomachinery lab in the country, and in aero optics. I also sit on the advisory board for the Joint Hypersonics Transition Office, so a lot of interest here at from them in Notre Dame. I was here, I think, probably 4 years ago, and I saw the startings of the hypersonic tunnel. It was just 1 footer and 1 pipe out there, and they said, imagine, if you will, a building over there. So I got to see some of that come to fruition. So nice to be back. And thank you very much for inviting me. And the Navy's happy sponsor of a lot of the work done here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Millsap. I want to close today with some acknowledgments. There are a number of, we've had enough speeches, but there are a number of people who deserve to be on the platform, and I want to recognize some of them. First of all, I have 4 colleagues from Notre Dame leadership that are here today that I'd like to introduce. Our interim provost, Chris Mazar, our executive vice president, Shannon Cullinan, provost-elect John McGreevy, and the dean of engineering, Patricia Culligan. Would you all please stand so that you can, people can interact with you later in the networking section? If you have thoughts about where normally I want to spend its money, these are the people for you to talk to. I also want to acknowledge another very important visitor. South Bend Mayor James Mueller is with us. Mayor Mueller is the city's 33rd mayor, and he was sworn into office in January of 2020. Prior to that, he was the chief of staff for Mayor Pete Buttigieg. It's also noteworthy that Mayor Mueller's father is an emeritus faculty member of the Department of Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering. So I can imagine being a nerd professor of mechanical engineering, he probably drugged James through a whole lot of various things looking at technology and aerospace engineering. So Mayor Mueller, would you please rise? Yeah. Josh mentioned this, but we are very grateful to the 2 company CEOs that put their trust in us to build these 2 new test facilities. I want them to stand and be recognized. AJ Poplica from Hermeus and Felipe Gomez del Campo from FGC Plasma. I believe that some of the staff from President Young's office have stuck around. Andrew Kosek, Jay Kenworthy and Courtney Papa. Are you still here? Okay. Thank you. And also from Senator Braun's office, Mary Martin has joined us. Mary, would you stand? My partner in the hypersonics corridor discussion this afternoon is Chris Jeffers from the IEDC. Chris, will you rise? And from Purdue, I also want to recognize Teresa Meyer, the Vice President for Research, Dan DeLaurentis, and Joe Jewell. Will you please stand? Crane has a pretty big contingent here. I mentioned Phil Smith and Sarah Armstrong, but I would all of you rise. All of you from Crane, please rise. And lastly, there's a lot of work gone into this Notre Dame, Hypersonics Day at Notre Dame. I really would like to acknowledge a number of people that helped us put this on. Susan Tuscan and the Notre Dame research staff, our colleagues from the Office of Public Affairs and Communications, including the Vice President for the Office of Public Affairs and Communications, Joel Curran, and our government relations person in that office, Tim Sexton. University Enterprises and Events, who helped us with all of the logistics here. The Notre Dame Washington office, led by Laura McAleer, who I think is on streaming, watching on streaming. And the staff at the Notre Dame Turbomachinery lab, as Josh said, put a tremendous amount of effort into clearing things away so we could put up the tents, and we'll put a lot of effort into taking the tents down so they get back to work probably this afternoon. And also the staff at the Whitefield Labs who cleaned that up and gave you a great tour there. So would all of you that I just mentioned please rise and accept our appreciation. The details for the rest of the day. We will do a couple additional ribbon cuttings. We're going to cut a lot of ribbons today. I'd like AJ and Felipe to stay, please. I'd also like the Notre Dame leaders that I just mentioned to please stay, and Mayor Mueller, please. We'll include you. We'll have all of you in some of these pictures, please. For the rest of you, there's a buffet lunch being served in the tent next door. Please go over and serve yourselves and enjoy lunch. Our tours of the Turbomachinery Lab will begin in probably 30 to 45 minutes. You'll be able to see the facility that's here, as well as the two test facilities that are being opened today. For my Indiana colleagues, I think we will convene by the Hermeus model of the hypersonics aircraft at 2:30 for a couple pictures, and then we'll go over to the Technology Resource Center next door for our meeting. It'll begin at a little after 2:30. For all of you taking buses back to the Morris Inn and other places on campus, they will run from about 2:30 till 4. So you don't have to worry about catching a bus. If you're involved with networking and having discussions with people, please use the tents here for that kind of conversation, because it's a tremendous gathering we've got here today, and use it for that opportunity to meet some people and talk about the future of hypersonics. So let me close by just saying thank you very much for coming to Hypersonics Day at Notre Dame. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thank you.
That's not how we do it. It works.